Today's event, Networks of Cooperation, Case Studies from the Middle East, is part of a week-long event happening in campuses across Canada, the United States, and Pakistan. During this week, students from student groups have designed and implemented various activities that promote the establishment of shared understanding and respect about issues related to health, peace, culture, religion, and cooperation.
We couldn't have a more opportune time. If we look globally now with events in the Middle East, Libya, Egypt, Tunisia, everything has become incredibly unstable, and now is the time where we really need a positive force to go in to be able to build cooperation. Our aim is to dispel the negativity, and we want to do this today by sharing positive case studies. And these stories are very powerful for conveying hope and courage. Courage is needed, and we talked about within CISPO the courage to cooperate. I think it takes far more courage to cooperate than it does to basically be aggressive and to shout and not try to understand someone else's perspective, some other organization's perspective. So I want to close with the story of two wolves, the good wolf and the evil wolf. Each one of us has inside us the two wolves. And I was asking one of our Aboriginal elders, tell me of the good and evil. And the elder replied, inside of all people, you have a good wolf that's positive, that's respectful, that wants to accomplish good deeds in the world. And you also have an evil wolf, a pessimistic wolf, a wolf who's really very self-interested. So which one wins, I asked. While the elder smiled, a smile that only comes from age and wisdom, and said, the wolf you feed the most.
And possessing the courage and the curiosity to engage in these topics that too few do. By working together, by talking together tonight, and by assimilating our thoughts towards a construct of peace and cooperation, we're putting that which too few do to the test. Too often we find ourselves settled and lazy on the couch of life, but it's only when we get up and do something we believe in that we truly live. For this notion, I thank you all for being here, either physically or digitally, engaging for a better future, and living as though the actions we make and the actions we take actually make a difference.
This morning, President Shukri issued a message to the York community, and I quote, recent political upheavals around the world continue to reinforce the need for openness, tolerance, the right to freedom of expression, and respecting and delivering on that responsibility that comes with that right. President Shukri's message frames the pledge for respectful dialogue. Our local, national, and global commitment to respectful dialogue, meaningful engagement, and capacity building. It also represents the guiding principles for tonight's event. From near and far, we will embrace and act within the spirit of the pledge. I invite Amina Abbas and E.J. Key to read the pledge for respectful dialogue.
I pledge to create a space where nobody gets left behind or forgotten.
To show respect, be authentic, and embrace diversity when engaging with others.
Trust in communication, have faith in the process.
To dialogue and listen gently, with patience, empathy, and humility.
Ask for permission and question my assumptions.
To remember where I came from so I can move forward.
For some of these capacity building efforts between Israelis and Palestinians, I know you had mentioned it a little bit, but in a little bit more detail, where do you think a lot of these resources should be allocated specifically in the future?
Mm-hmm. Well, they definitely should be allocated to the communities. And from what I see, the Palestinian side would require a lot more capacity building than the Israeli side, which in of itself require more capacity building and professional help. There's very little knowledge we have. Think about it that while millions of the world's children are growing up amidst armed conflict, there's very, very, very little we know about it. Mm-hmm. There's very, very little systematic research on what continuous exposure to war-related trauma does to children's brain, to children's biology, to children's development, to children's emotion, to children's social development, etc. And I think there are many ways people can make a contribution to it at many levels. Some level could be donation, and some level could be trying to make awareness, like I think your group is trying to make. Some would be to actually come to the region and work for a period of time. There are many ways to make a difference, and working with this mother and this infant and this teacher and this nurse one by one. You know, there's a very nice Talmudic saying, which I always tell myself, is that you are not commanded to finish the work. The work is too great, but that doesn't mean that you are free from undertaking it.
The personal message that I can send to this work or regarding this work, that the opposite of health is the pain. So we are reducing or fighting the pain, physical or psychological pain. So if we decrease the pain, we increase the hope. The capacity building, what we need, I think that we have to concentrate in the school principals and on the school teachers, trying to change or to influence the personality and to strengthen the personality of the adolescents and the teenagers, to how to deal with non-violence approach, to build and to continue their lives.
Whatever else is true in the world, we all value our children. We all want to have a bright future for our children. What can we do to work together to make that happen in this region of the world? If we can leave aside some of the other narratives, can we focus on what the needs of children are? Our vision is that, guided by the reality that our children are the future, and that respect for and protection for children is a shared human value across all religious, cultural, and political boundaries and borders, our partnership of Israeli and Palestinian professionals works to promote the well-being of children and families. The second project is the one that Tawfiq was talking about. And he didn't say too much about it, but he and Itamar Luri, who's a psychoanalyst in Jerusalem, have been doing school-based interventions within Bethlehem and throughout the West Bank. And this began in 2008, and basically training educators to intervene in school settings with at-risk students who present signs of PTSD. And we're basically putting forward in this EU proposal and in the current USAID proposal ways of expanding and this effort. And so building a knowledge center, a place where we can have joint training sessions for both Israelis and Palestinians, having leaders from across the world come and make their presentations, I think is something that we see as being a really important effort. And I think using media of this sort to make this happen also as part of that vision.